You're watching Have You Heard on Rude Rangers Entertainment. I'm Coach Heidi Kay. So excited to be talking with you today with my amazing co-hosts, Verdell and Orlandina. I hope everybody is sharing away on social media because we want to empower and educate and lift up as many people as we can with our conversation. So share away and get all your friends to join. We've got lots to talk about with you. So I've been thinking a lot about what's going on with my coaching clients and workshop participants and what we've been talking a lot about this week. And that is about red flags to watch out for in the dating world. And it's such an important conversation for people that are embarking on the dating world, either when you're coming out of a relationship after a long time, or even if, struggling a bit and you're trying to change it up and make it work. What are the red flags that are going to kind of save you a lot of angst and disappointment and frustration? And so one of the really big ones that I talk a lot about with coaching clients is when someone comes on an extreme, majorly on an extreme. So they are showering you with compliments. They are sending you long messages all day long. And they want to see you and they want to go out with you, and then they want to go out with you again and again the next night and the next day. And it's never enough. They're just all consumed with you. And so that on some level can feel really flattering, especially when people have been feeling lonely or, they haven't gotten all of that validation about how amazing they are. So sometimes we can sort of fall into that, how great it is when somebody is so into being with us on such an extreme. But what happens is that person that comes on an extreme, that's how you do anything is how you do everything. That's one of my favorite expressions. So when they come forward on an extreme, they tend to withdraw on an extreme. So when you least expect it, all of a sudden, they've completely lost interest and gone the other way. What you want to look for instead is the slow but steady wins the race. So one of the main red flags is that coming on an extreme, and not to be overcome by the flattery of it, because it's really the way this person operates rather than something fabulous about you, even though we all want to feel fabulous. But we don't want that to be the barometer, because that's a person who operates on extremes. Right. What do you girls think about that?
Yeah. I mean, I like what you say about the flattery piece, because you would think that if somebody is showering you with compliments and wanting to reach out to you all the time, that definitely it makes you feel good, and we all want to feel good. So for some it's hard to kind of separate that from that red flag, but I think there's more signs in that extreme, and some people are not, they just don't have that clear vision of it, because either they want to be in a relationship so bad, so they say this is a good thing, and they don't decipher the extremeness.
Yes.
I
so
totally,
many people.
It really does, because I'll hear girlfriends of mine like, oh my God, he calls me every day and he always wants to be with me. And I'm like, that's great that he's into you, but when the person's too into you, I'm like, that extreme nature is too much. And you're right, Verdell, when you say that sometimes people don't pick up on those messages. I'm like, that's when you hear, oh my God, he's so into you, and then he's so into me, and he's always there, and next thing you know, you try to step and do something different. Where you going? Where you been? How you doing? And those are telltale signs of run.
Yeah. Yeah. So really interesting that you mentioned that. I find this a lot, when clients talk to me about internet dating. Sometimes the person hasn't even met them yet, but they're already exhibiting signs of possessiveness, jealousy, anger, when they haven't even met yet. So that person is waving a red flag from the rooftop, waving it. Run, hurry, fast, because it ain't getting better. This is the person on good behavior. It's getting worse.
It's true. One of the things that I noticed with the online dating, you'll see people, they're so interactive, like on text. They will text you morning, noon, and night. But then when it comes to actual conversation, they can't converse with you. So I'm like, okay, so have they, at this point, Coach Heidi, are they just the person that's so obsessed with you? Are they obsessed with you? Or are they obsessed with the thought of you? Because they are interacting with you heavily via text, but when it comes to conversation, they can't converse.
Yeah.
So have they made up some idea of you?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's nervous.
Great point. Are they in love with being in love? Or is it something special about you? Is it just the idea? And it's pervasive now in the dating world with people hiding behind texting. And it's kind of like a fake relationship that people get into. And I see this all the time, and I'm asking, why are you going for days and days texting a person that you have never met? So now they're in a thing where, the person knows when I went to the grocery store and I unloaded my groceries, and then I drove my daughter here, and I'm going to the movies here. And, it's a whole fake relationship, but it's fake because you've never met. And the only way that you're going to know if this is a match is by getting face-to-face. Even during COVID, you might have to get face-to-face by video first, and you might have to get face-to-face with a mask or outdoors, back up, buddy,
Right.
Keep your distance. But then you have to get face-to-face. Whatever you're doing on that text, it's not real.
Yeah.
That shows like catfish come out.
Right. Exactly. And with the dating scene, it's that online dating. It's very interesting. And so I've been married for 32 years this year, and then we dated in high school for 5 years before we got married. So dating I honestly really don't know too much about dating, and especially now. So I kind of live through my kids' life, but they don't share too much with me.
So you're hearing about it from them. You're hearing about it from them for sure. Exactly. But a lot of people have lived their life like you have. And, God bless, you've got, great stuff going on in your relationships, but when their relationship deteriorates, sometimes they find themselves, having to re-navigate the world of dating after being out of it for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. These are the people who I work with, and that was me actually coming out of a long marriage and having been with my ex-husband from the time I was very young, and all of a sudden having to re-navigate this world and thinking to myself, you mean I'm going to meet somebody on a computer? What? A stranger? And flash. That's what I did.
Right. Wow.
And I'm now remarried to somebody who I met internet dating. But when I first had to fathom this idea, I was just, my mind was blown. I couldn't imagine how this could possibly work. But this is the way of today, and I had to get up to speed. I really did. But I have a lot of empathy for people who I work with who are going through the same thing, coming out of long relationships at any age and just not knowing how to re-navigate this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't even.
We've got that innate desire for companionship and love, and so we find a way,
I was married for, not as long as you ladies, but I was married for about 7 years and dating. So altogether, we were together for about 10 years. So then when we divorced and I had to start dating, I was like, wow, okay. One of the things I kept remembering, there's a lot of broken people out here. Like, what's wrong with you?
You're right.
And then so, just and finding ways to meet people. I wasn't comfortable with online. So I kept saying, no, I've got to meet somebody doing something that I enjoy out there, being active, because I was so concerned about these little catfish scenarios. So when I would meet people, especially the guys that were heavy into texting, I would always shy away from them. I'm like, why are you so into the texting? Because it would never come into a real relationship. relationship.
Yeah.
And so, you know, or they were just a little bit too, hey, where are you? Where are you going? And how long are you going to be there? I'm like, you're asking way too many questions.
You don't even know me
I
yet.
I don't even know you yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, my father never even, you know. So, and of course, this was during the time when certain movies were coming out. So don't let me watch a movie where there's like a stalker. So now I'm like, everybody's a stalker.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely ideal to meet somebody doing what you love doing. It's you know, there's no doubt about it. But sometimes what's happening is if we're not meeting someone that way, you know, we look for other ways. And when I'm saying that there's a lot of texting, yeah, it could be a catfishing thing, but not just a catfishing thing. It's just sometimes people are filling a certain loneliness through that, and you know, and you want to ascertain and evaluate, is this a person who can move past the texting? You've got to be able to move from the texting to the phone to the date. And yes, I said phone. I said phone.
What? Have a conversation?
Like, you know, we're mature people. You've got to be able to move, you know, efficiently that way. Slow but steady.
Right.
And that means steadily wins the race.
Right. I'm with that, because I just met too many people. I was just like, conversation, like you sit down, go to dinner. And this is, I mean, now I would say COVID does have its advantages because you can keep people at a distance.
Yeah.
Kind of
So
check
there are
them out for a
advantages.
minute. Yeah, there's some advantages to it. I will say that.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know, be too demonstrative. I'm like, I just need to see who you are first. You know, that kind of thing. I think there's some advantages to meeting someone now. And now you are forced to have conversations because you can't. I mean, you can fall back on texting, but right now you do have to rely on conversation, so you get to know people a little bit better. It forces you.
I think it's a real advantage in the dating world to be doing that. You know, I've been talking in workshops a lot about video dating. It kind of removes that physical pull to a degree. You know, it's not the same physical pull that you would have in person, so that you can stay logically evaluating the situation, and logically, you know, figuring out, does this person potentially have the qualities that I'm looking for? Without, you know, when the physical comes in, the logic often, you know, exits simultaneously, and you know, the attraction takes over. So we might see things that, you know, we know are not right about the person, but we'll kind of push it away or push it down or ignore it when that physical pull comes in. So if we're spending more time on conversation, like you said, Orlandina, or, you know, we're having a video date where there's a screen between us, we really can stay in that evaluation.
Stay present. Where would you say it's the best place to meet people now? I mean,
so, you know, a lot of people are doing online dating now, and they're having either video dates or they're doing outdoor dates, you know, either a park or a walk or an outdoor cafe. More and more people are doing online dating. It's actually becoming even more popular because no one's out doing anything. So where are you going to meet them?
So if you're doing like a video date, so you're eating dinner and they're eating dinner, and you know, so you're both eating dinner at the same time, or you know, like I got my coffee, he's got his coffee, glass of wine, you got your glass of wine.
You know, I would say video dates are a little shorter than the regular date. You know, it's a little more intense in some ways, because if you think about it, if you're on a date, the server comes over, you're ordering, you know, there's conversation about that. There's like little interruptions. When you're just face to face on the screen, it's just the two of you. So it might be a little bit of a shorter date. I do think it's a great idea to sit and have dinner together, or have your beverage of choice together. I also talk a lot about make the environment appealing. You know, don't have like your bunched up unmade bed in the background and your dirty laundry, dirty dishes behind you. It's terrible. It's terrible. Or sometimes it's like a white wall behind the person with like fluorescent lights. It looks like they're being interrogated. So, you know, that's not like a romantic, fun date. So you got to watch your environment and, you know, be prepared with some topics of conversation, you know, you know, ask questions, listen. I always talk about listen double the amount that you speak. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio. So if you're doing some really good listening, you can really have an effective conversation that way.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever heard was on Cat Williams, of all people. Great comedian. I think he's awesome. Well, on one of his stand-ups, he said, you know what? My first date is always at like a coffee house. I was like, what? He said, think about it. You only spend money on coffee. It's not a big date. He says, and you're forced to have a conversation. He says, within that first date, I can tell whether you're somebody that I want to continue to speak to or not. And I was like, you know what? It takes the pressure and intimacy that comes with dinner, because a lot of people want to go and do dinner. And if you're able just to sit and have a cup of coffee, because what happens over a cup of coffee, a cup of tea is conversation. So Coach Heidi, I think that's a great idea. You just sit down, you have your coffee, you have your wine, and you're just sitting there having a video chat with someone and just chill.
That first date is just a little look-see. Is there some connection? There's always, you know, time for more next time if there's that connection. I could talk about this with you girls all day, but I think we have to go to a commercial break. So we'll be back real soon.